It's so important to understand when it comes to trauma, when it comes to our wounds, and when it comes to our pain, that there's no such thing as it happened and then it's over, right? A lot of people, a lot of times, want to deal with um, wounds and pain and trauma in that way, where it's like, oh, well, that happened and, we move forward and we got beyond it. That's not how trauma works. If it's trauma, if it's like, real emotional, um, mental, spiritual wounding, that's impossible because that's not how it works. And wanting to deal with it in that way is one of the reasons why our world looks the way it looks, our communities, our family systems, like avoidance and thinking that problems are going to magically disappear, wanting to treat it like water where you sit it on a table long enough and you go back, it'll have evaporated. Pain does not work that way. And, speaking of mother wound again and my pain, the the women in my family actually proved that to me. They taught me that, they showed me that. I had my father's mother in her 80s literally still talking about how her mother never cared about her, how she didn't have anybody. And I heard my own mother at one point not too long ago mentioned how she was always on her own. She felt she was always on her own, and she never had anybody to depend on. And when my great aunt, her aunt, passed in 2020, she was really devastated by it. And she actually said at one point, now who am I going to call? And so it was just interesting to see, right? And this is her in her late 60s. It's interesting to see how, like, when we have those wounds, when we have those holes within us, they don't just magically fill themselves. And it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter how much time passes you by, right? These were arguably full grown adults. These are both grandparents at this point, right? Grandmothers, with these feelings and these thoughts that are still strongholds in their life, are still very much so a part of who they are, guide their thinking, guide their feelings, their choices. And so, yeah, the it happened and it's over way of coping with things is not coping at all. Actually, it's not coping for real. And it doesn't help us. There's no such thing as it happened and it's over. For every action there's a reaction. There's something that comes as a result of it, whether it's good, bad, or in between. And so when it comes to dealing with especially those early wounds, the mother wound, the father wound, those parental wounds, they don't just disappear with time. They don't correct themselves. They don't autocorrect. It's not like you write in a text message and you spell a word wrong and it'll just be fixed for you. It doesn't work that way. And I think as we come to accept that, more healing will take place, right? Because people will be more aware of the baggage that they carry with them throughout the course of their life, right? You don't just drop that off. Once you pick that up, it's literally in your bag until you choose to take it out. And so I really want us to get away from the it happened and it's over mentality. I actually had somebody say that to me about an experience that I had about some re-traumatization that had taken place with me and my grandmother. And because I was being re-traumatized, it was like, no, it didn't happen and it's over. Like, I'm affected by it. I'm affected by what's going on. I'm affected by what she's doing. And it's not helpful for me. It's not helpful at all. And it needs to be processed, right? I can't just act like it didn't happen and be okay. The being okay is in the acknowledgement. It's in the looking at the situation and saying, all right, this happened. This is how I feel about it. Can you please not treat me that way? Can you please not respond to me in that way? Can you please not show up in that way with me? Versus, oh, well, it happened and it's over and you just need to move forward type of attitude. Like, for as long as we are living in the, oh, you just got to get over it, you'll never get over it. Like, if that's your attitude and that's the way you think that it's supposed to work, like, it'll never ever happen. That's wishful thinking. And we do get to a point in our healing where we have to make the choice to move forward and to move past certain things, but only after it's been processed, not from pretending like it never happened, sweeping it under the rug, not wanting to look at it and see it for what it actually is.